Ciao, sono Max Pezzali nelle vesti di inviato speciale straordinario di Warner Squad e sto per presentarvi una cosa bellissima che abbiamo fatto con i Biffy Clyro dalla Scozia. Una cosa troppo figa, loro sono i numeri uno. Hi guys again.
Hello.
I would like to tell you something. In my opinion, Biffy Clyro, not just in my opinion, is, okay, for everybody, one of the biggest bands in the world, rock bands in the world today. And it's one of the hugest acts in the world today. But to me personally, Biffy Clyro is tremendous songwriting. Means tremendous, really tremendous songwriting.
Thank you so much.
Because in my opinion, it's so difficult today in 2017 to reach the top of the charts with songs so well crafted, so well played, where every word is meaningful, where every note, every chord is meaningful.
Thank you so much.
Today is something like, no, it's not easy to reach this goal.
Well, you know, don't you? It's
Yes.
hard. It gets harder the more records you make. and
Absolutely, you know, it's getting harder and harder. But that's why I would like to focus on your songwriting. Can you tell me the process of Biffy Clyro's songwriting? How songs?
Yeah, I guess I write all the songs.
Yeah.
And I normally have quite a sure idea of what type of song it's going to be. You know, I write everything on an unamplified electric guitar.
Okay.
So it feels natural, but I don't have distortion or anything. And I've started writing on piano, as well,
yes.
on the last couple of records. So yeah, I normally just come up with the songs and then we play them together and we see which ones work. Some you get very excited about and they just don't quite work, and others just accidentally sound terrific. You know, you're never quite sure. It's never relative to the amount of time you spend in a song, whether it
It's
works.
like catching a fish. This is huge.
So true, so true.
So, when you go to the studio, you already have the songs, you know, completely defined, or you take some room for adjustments when you go in LA to the studio, for example?
I guess this has been the very first album where we've not been exactly sure with how we want it to sound when it's finished. But for the first 6 albums, we were very much like, it has to sound like this, and that's why Ellipsis was a lot of fun to work on for us, because there was a few songs we didn't know whether we were going to have drums on them or whether we were going to have bass or even guitars, and it was quite liberating. Does this affect even
how you choose your producer? For example, Rich Costi this time. Does it change the way you look at the final result? You know,
Yes, Rich Costi, I think, he's a very creative and quite a hands-on producer. You know, he wants to help you make your record sound completely different, and he doesn't go through the same routines for every band or every album, and I think that's what we enjoyed with Rich and part of.
Yeah, he was almost never satisfied. He was always searching for something else.
Reaching for something more.
Maybe something better around the corner. And like Simon said, that's a little different than the way we'd worked before. We always had a good idea of what the results were going to be, and it was just about trying to get to that result. But with Rich, there was much kind of fishing around.
Studio becomes a creative process and not a recording process and a producing process.
I think any band that starts as kind of friends in a room, for years you just try and capture that sound, and then you start to realise that you can use the studio to your advantage, and it kind of becomes another member of the band, I think.
It's another step, you know, it's another level. Great, and I would like to ask you about your influences as musicians, not, you know, the bands, you know, Nirvana and everything. No, just, you know, you as a guitarist, you as a drummer, James as a bass player. Which ones are the best influences for you?
I would like to say Slash, but I can't play like Slash. To be honest, man.
You played together.
Well, we have, I always forget about that, actually. Yes, I played with Slash.
Great.
My biggest influence was actually 2 friends I had at university. And one of them was called Craig B and the other one was called Colin. And they both played guitars. They played in rock bands, but they played guitar like weird kind of jazz musicians. So every time we'd sit in a room together and they'd play me a song, they never used a plectrum. They always just played strange chords, and I think that's I feel like that's been one of my biggest influences for the last 20 years since I met those guys. As you say, you have your heroes who you want to be like Kurt Cobain
like,
or whatever. Or
guitar heroes, rock and roll heroes, but sometimes the influence is closer than you think.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. And it's only now looking back that I realise how much impact that had on me as a player.
It's fantastic.
Also I played violin,
Yeah.
which I think impacted more on my guitar playing. I played violin for 5 years before I played guitar, and I think I approached the guitar differently because
Absolutely,
of that.
because it's a different state of mind, you know.
It is, so it is.
Forces you to think differently, you know.
Absolutely.
That's your pinky comes into play, isn't it?
Pinky, I know I've got
Uses his pinky off
perfect pinky.
comes from the violin.
Don't fucking bother. Don't bother, right?
I've got tons of influences, probably three that I'd pick. I'm allowed three, that are too
We'll
many.
give you three.
Dave Grohl for the power drumming side of things. Neil Peart for the kind of flashy style, the more kind of progressive drumming and kind of show off flary stuff. And probably Ringo Starr for the being a drummer that just plays for the band, you know, and
Absolutely,
tries to let the music breathe.
At the service of a project,
exactly.
let's say.
So
Like
I like to take from those three kind of areas if I can. I think they're the three best.
Combine the best
Yeah,
of those
combine
three
the-
worlds and make it slightly better.
Just
the
be the
best
most
drummer.
best drummer in the world. I just take those three and then what you get.
For me, MCA from the Beastie Boys had a tone that I always really loved.
yeah, great.
Always been searching.
What a great citation.
It's
Great.
so tough to get that tone. I don't know how he did it, what a master, but I think Jeff Ament's playing is always a player that I really respect and admire. Very kind of subtle. I think, like you say, he plays for the band, and I think Pearl Jam are an amazing band of musicians. The way they play together is so incredible, and the way they support each other. So, but beyond that, I mean, it's got to be these two. It's got to be playing with these guys that is the biggest influence, and I'll pay you later. And it just amazing, you know, Simon mentioned about being friends together in a room, making a noise, a beautiful noise, hopefully. But that is the kind of the biggest influence that I've ever had.
Absolutely, yeah.
That feeling of being together.
Yeah, it's like growing up together and taking the same path and growing up together, which is great.
I don't think I'd want to play bass if it wasn't with these two gentlemen. So
Yeah.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, great. So, when was the last time you heard a new album or a new artist and you said, "Oh, this is huge. This is a game changer"? I know it's difficult these times. It's difficult, but
It's tough these days. I think. Oh, I don't know.
maybe seeing, I mean, when we saw Christine and the Queens, that was a moment where, I mean, quite a different artist to us, but that was a thing where it was like, this feels really different. It feels different to anything else we're hearing on the radio, and I think the first time I saw it was on a television show back in the UK, and it was just such a unique performance.
Yeah.
Very unlike other things that are around at the time. I think that's what you look for something to break through. That the first few times you hear it or see it or listen to it, you think this is a little strange, and then it becomes kind of part of the kind of fabric of the music scene, I suppose, you know.
I think for me the one rock band in the last few years is a band called Deaf Heaven, they play like really fast blast beats with these beautiful kind of orchestral sounding guitars, and it's really emotive but very, very dark and kind of, I mean it's kind of like metal, but it's more beautiful than that suggests. And then in terms of, there's a band called Death Grips who make these really strange hip hop records.
yeah, I know them. I know them. Now I was realizing, great
band, and they're really, it's very hard to listen to. It's very avant-garde, but they're really trying to mess with what rock music can be and what hip hop can be, and it's kind of ended up being like this punk rock kind of thing, and I find that very, very exciting. You know, it's I guess it's always the underground. I guess where some really unique things pop up, and then, you know, and you hope that people can take the influence from it and
exactly
turn it into
something influential that you think that probably for somebody else can be, you know, like a seed, you know, to grow up.
Exactly.
So there's hope. There's still hope.
Oh, and we also have Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes. Incredible singer. He's one of the best front men in the world.
Okay.
So, he's with us on this tour, and they've just released a fantastic album as well. So lots of talent out there. I think you sometimes just have to look a little bit harder, and always trust your friends, I think, as well.
Absolutely. Not to stop at the surface, try to scratch and to avoid the hype and the media.
Go down a YouTube vortex. Where
exactly. Which is great.
Yeah.
And this leads me to another question. I'm very curious about that. What do you think about electronic music today? I know that you have it's not good to call it side project, but ZZC, which will be out with an electronic album this year, probably, as far as I know. But what do you think about electronic music today?
I think at the moment it's reached saturation point. I think when you switch on the radio and sometimes a pop song can sound exactly like a kind of techno song, which sounds exactly like a hip hop tune, and I don't like it when everything starts to sound the same. And I think that's where EDM kind of is at the moment. Is it's just oversaturated.
Yes.
So there's always fantastic artists, making really groundbreaking electronic music and things. But I guess it's the way rock got in the late 80s and maybe even the early noughties as well with new metal and things. It just got too big, and it needs to come crashing down.
To fall down, to rebuild something new.
Exactly. But there's always, as I say, there's lots of great electronic artists out there. But I just think we're at that moment where everything sounds kind of the same, and
everything sounds exactly the same. What is this? Is this techno? Is this pop? Is this who's this?
And there's so many people singing on all these songs that you don't actually even know whose song it is.
When there are times where everything sounds hip-hop-ish, everything sounds EDM-ish.
Exactly. So now we want everything to sound rockish for a bit.
Exactly. So what do you think about the kids today are making music in their bedrooms with Ableton Live and a laptop instead of going, for example, in the local garage to play with friends, and to grow up together as you probably did.
I guess it's tough because it takes a lot of work to become good as a band, and if we had access to like Ableton and things when we were young, we would probably have opened up and started next. So I can understand, why wouldn't you go and start making music as fast as you possibly can? I think the creativity is the most important thing for any young person to have. But I'm hoping there'll be a new wave of kids that want to pick up guitars and things, and because there's
work together, because it's sharing, which is great.
You're there with your friends, and you feel like a gang against the world, and
exactly.
And the gigs should sound different every night. Sometimes with the EDM shows, every night is exactly the same. And you want there to be like an element of
USB keys.
No.
What the hell? You have to carry your own instruments and your own rig and everything.
Exactly.
And they come,
we come off sore voices, sore backs, sore everything, sweaty, and
well, then
I'd quite like to see
which is
£1 million.
But things, I hope that there will be not a new Biffy Clyro, which is impossible, but someone different, someone with their own stuff, but with your attitude, with your being one, which is great.
It gives you strength when you're
together.
This
is why your sound is so unique, because you can feel from the audience. It's the same, it's like one body with a head and everything, and it's the same, which is great for a band. In my opinion, it's the best thing for a band. And sorry, but because I would have 1,000 questions, but I will not ask you 1,000 questions. For example, can you tell me the most terrifying moment you lived on stage, one of those near misses, technical near misses, for example, a technical issue that you say, oh my God, oh shit, it's happening, and then you survive, suddenly you survive,
I guess there's a festival in Britain called V Festival where we managed to make the whole PA cut out 3 times in a row, on like the very first beat of the song, the whole thing just went dead.
We tried to start the show 3 times, and it was our first appearance at a kind of slightly more mainstream festival, and we were so nervous, and just as soon as Ben hit the bass drum, the PA cut out. We left the stage for 10 minutes. We came back on. Ben hit the bass drum, the PA dropped. At that point, it ended up being a great show because at that point, we were like, fuck it, who cares?
Exactly, because you can take the energy from the, the mistakes and from the troubles, and then transform it in something positive.
I think that's what you learn from experience as well, because sometimes if that happens, it can ruin the show, and you start thinking, the crowd
being
won't
nervous
enjoy
and getting angry with everybody on stage.
But it's reason to put it into like focus and kind of, and it's never the crowd's fault. If anything, they've come to see a show. If something goes wrong, you've got to make sure you play the best show.
And probably you do better than ever, that night.
So fingers crossed something goes wrong tonight.
No. We're not, tonight will be perfect, everything.
Not fun at the time.
Tell me about how living in a little off the grid, in the countryside of Scotland affects positively your music and your playing and everything. Why didn't you move to a big city so far?
I think we quite like being left to ourselves. I think as the band has gone on and we've kind of grown and more people have kind of gotten into our music, we don't want to change how we work. And I think that if we moved to London or something, we would probably, I think we would start, our ambition would override our creativity. And being in Scotland, when we're playing songs together, we just look at each other and go, is this a good song? Rather than if we were in London or something, I think the record company would be down and we might be like, do you like this one?
Fantastic.
And if they
it's not like you have to please someone. Exactly. You have to please yourself.
And we normally wait till we have 20 odd songs and then we let people hear it. We kind of, there's a lot of people we trust. But
like an audition to have just an idea with your friends to...
Exactly, because your friends know you.
Exactly.
And you listen to things differently when you play them for your friends. I'm sure you're the same when you.
You have some test audience.
Exactly,
some friends.
Exactly.
Listen to this. What do you mean? And then no, it's not. Oh shit.
exactly. But it helps. That's what you need to know.
Because you thought it was perfect, but probably something didn't work.
Things can always be better, can't
Exactly. And for example, if someone tells you, I don't know, Rearrange or Madison, for example, are great, perfect pop songs. Do you feel angry or you think it's a plus? It's.
I would have been angry a few years ago, but now I think of myself probably more as a songwriter these days, and I think it's a compliment, because when I think about some of my favourite songs from 80s or 90s, not all of them are rock songs or punk songs or metal songs, and I'm trying to think of an example. Like even like Adele or something. Yeah. Some of her songs are beautifully written songs, and I would love to write a song that's thought of in a similar way to a Beatles song. And I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying for a second that's true. But that's what you.
I have an opinion about that. You're in that. You're in that series.
I'm taking you out for dinner.
You're in that league, sorry.
But that's a good song should hopefully be a good song no matter genre, and sometimes I think I've written the odd song that hopefully it doesn't matter that it's a rock band playing it or if it was a country singer or someone. I feel like it would be just as good a song. So. Yeah,
when you don't think about anything than the song, it's like you see some lines, melody, harmony, words, and you say it's perfect.
Yeah, that's what we all aspire
whatever you put
to do.
Underneath, it's okay.
Yeah. You're that boys,
I'm not.
Because the songs start on just in a guitar or a piano, you could arguably have taken them in some different direction if it wasn't this band playing the songs, and they could go in a different guise, if you like. Like a great song's a great song.
But then the character is given by
us.
Exactly.
The limitations are kind of. We like having the limitations of being the three of us, because if we had too many options and
too many options is no option. It's like in the empty space, in the open space. When you start working on a new album, do you feel the pressure of expectations from everybody, because you're a so huge act right now, so many songs, so famous, you feel, oh shit.
It can be tough. I felt like that before we started recording Ellipsis, it was the first time when I was writing a song, I was thinking, will people like this? And it took me a few months to shut off that part of my brain, but it gets tougher the more albums you make as well, because you want to try and say something new and fresh, and that gets tougher the more songs you have. And so yeah, I guess we all feel a bit more pressure. I feel the pressure each time we go into a record, but that's part of that is self-inflicted as well, because we want to be a better band than we've ever been. You know, it's no one else.
It's you, the ones who raise the bar. You know, you raise your own bar, and you say, I have to go over there.
Exactly, and we would rather try something and make a mistake and do something that doesn't sound quite right than rewrite Mountains over and over. Or, you know, like, that's not what we're interested in. We have songs that we love, but we don't want to do another version of those songs, and I'm sure that can be frustrating to some Biffy fans who maybe love the proggier stuff and think, oh, do another 6-minute song, but it kind of feels like
But unpredictability is one of the best things in Biffy Clyro, you know.
Because that means a lot.
When the album went out, you know, last summer, I said, I'm waiting for that, and then I said, first listen, oh great, but it's different. You know, I thought something more prog, something more, but instead it was a punch in your face, you know. So I was so excited, and unpredictability is the number one character in Biffy Clyro. So
we share the same perspective, so thanks.
Ciao a tutti gli amici di Warner Squad, loro sono i Biffy Clyro, one of the best bands in the world. Ciao a tutti!